start with the newspapers this morning. I'm going to go with the Irish Times as first to hand, and it's golf. Sufficient intangibles to ensure supreme examination. So obviously the preview of the Irish Open, we've been previewing it all week, but today's the day where there's actually like all the previews used up and there's no golf to talk about, so they're kind of just talking about the actual situation with the course itself. And then a good piece again from Eamon Donoghue: are Galway playing enough Corofin players, and why Mayo's attack is so predictable? Galway built to thwart right-sided Mayo. So he thinks that Galway aren't playing enough Corofin players, and also they're well built to beat Mayo at the weekend.
Yeah, I think the Corofin thing is a good one. I don't know about the weekend. I think Aidan O'Shea is a factor, obviously, if he plays or doesn't play. But they'll be thereabouts. I've got the Irish Independent, and you have Lyons slams cheap shot attacks over Dubs funding. They're literally lining them up every day.
What word is like what
jumps out at me?
Yeah,
I've never heard this word before.
Oh, really? Because that was his go-to in press conferences back in 2002.
Was it?
Yes.
Never ever heard of it. Obviously, I didn't listen to enough press conferences about Tommy Lyons. But he says, and I quote, "It's arse-boxing of the highest order."
There you go. Play the hits, Tommy.
Arse-boxing. Arse-boxing.
What's his point?
Same as everyone else. All the other counties should be doing more. It's, you know, they should be just coaching more, and they should be. It's actually, it's not Jim Gavin's fault. That's not down to money. It's down to Jim Gavin and his coaching setup, the players and their willingness to learn. So he says basically, look, you look at Dublin minor and under 21 setups, and they're not exactly dominating All Ireland's. And if loads of money is being thrown at Dublin, why isn't it showing at that level? But the fact is it's very, very difficult to try to produce 16 and 17-year-olds because the playing field is they're in school, they're doing all that. But when you get to your senior level, then you can really ramp up the resources from 19, 20, 21 on, and you can build and you can layer on a lot quicker and a lot faster and a lot more consistently than other teams who don't, or other counties who don't have the resources.
Yeah, so if you have 100 brilliant 17-year-olds, it's very hard to pick the best 15.
Correct.
But if you have 100 brilliant senior players, you've had 3 or 4 years of information on them, they've been through your system, you know what their skill set is properly, you know how they're going to respond to pressure, you've seen them in club games, so the body of information that you have on them
is enormous.
Yeah. And so that's why it manifests itself at senior level.
You can test them at the highest level to weed the weakest out.
And they're not going after those minor and under 20 All-Irelands as the be-all and end-all of those players' careers, because they know that the point of the minor and under 20 teams is to service the senior team. So they're turning them into players, and instead of putting it all on the line for those 3 months in that summer, they're like, oh, you go off and work on your left-footed kicking because it's not good enough. And when it is good enough, come back to us and join the under 20s next year.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really, they'd be winning everything if all the money was the only thing that mattered.
Yeah. And by the way, no one is saying that. Plenty of people have said there's great coaching going on. Like, plenty of people have said there's a massive amount of volunteers in Dublin football. And, you know, he says, he says, you know, this isn't the reason why Meath only kicked 4 points. So he has a bit of a dig at Meath. But, like, Andy McEnany didn't come out and give out about the amount of funding. Not a lot of people involved in teams have.
No.
It's people like ourselves, shall we say, or people who've just had an opinion through the media and everything else who've gone. And the best one is, he says, you know, fine, if that's what they want, they do it. He's saying about basically people giving out, right, arse-boxing. And he said, but let's stick with the facts, not just that stuff that doesn't hold up. Well, if you want to stick with the facts, let's stick with the financial facts.
The financial facts seemed incontrovertible until this week when John Horan was like, no, I heard in a meeting a couple of years back that actually Meath were getting more funding per capita. Now, I won't stand over that because I don't have the exact figures to hand. Okay, that's an interesting. You're putting figures out there. You're naming the names of the 2 lads you had the conversation with, and you're not standing over it. But you're putting it out there at a meeting where all the journalists. One of the few times that you've actually given access to the journalists over the course of your entire presidency. So let's stick with the facts as a good mantra, because we should establish the facts. We should, and they should be made public. It was interesting too. The other thing that happened that came up the other day was I didn't know that Tyrone had put forward a motion to the last Congress about having a system where a transparency would surround the allocation of funding for games development. they put that motion to Congress. It was ruled out by the motions committee, and it was referred back to, I don't know if it was Central Council or whatever body would see it next. And John Horan was asked about this, and he was like, yeah, we'll do that. We should do that. We'll do that. He chairs whatever committee it was supposed to go to. And you're like, are you interested in transparency or not? Is this a democracy or isn't it? The other thing about this, while I'm on it, right? Where did the ideas for the back pass and the 2 tiers come from? Who
knows?
So is it a democracy? And was that put out to the general population to go and say, let's have a conversation about tiers? Or was it, here's my idea for the 2 tiers, we're going to put those out and you can have either of them. You can't have anything else. Even though if you go to any GAA clubhouse or any bar room or any school, there are 100 different ideas for what the tiers should be.
Yeah.
And it should be like a national conversation.
1,000 different ideas of how to improve the game.
A really interesting opportunity to get people motivated to go, let's have 5 ideas and let's put them forward, and then we'll put 2 and nothing forward to Congress at the end. So
they actually, because I read back on a piece, they actually have, I don't know if it's been out there yet, but they actually have set up an email address, I think it's with the Fixtures Review Committee, that people can actually put forward ideas. But I bet you didn't know that. I didn't. Yeah. So it hasn't actually been widely publicised, you know. So because I actually I saw that yesterday, because obviously the CPA are doing work on trying to be involved in it. Michael Higgins is our representative on it. But you know, when you get to the 2-tier thing, and I'm sure we'll get into this later on, you have an enormous cart before the horse now, because you're saying, okay guys, let's start with a blank canvas and let's look at everything. Actually, hold on a second. We'll throw this 2-tier thing in here for a minute. Yeah. So that now is just going to completely mess everything up, and you can work around that. Even if it's only for a year or 2, you know, let's see what you come up with. Rather than, well, actually, let's do that first. Let's do the blank canvas first. And then, if falling out of that, there's an idea that we should have a 2-tier competition or whatever it is, well then fine. But let's fit everything into the schedule first. Let's try and actually make a decent calendar that is set, ready to go, in stone, and can give some level of certainty to players.
And you've got a set number of weekends for inter-county matches, and your structure must adhere to the set number of weekends.
Correct. We know now the amount of weekends. Right, what is the best structure to give A, the most enjoyment, B, the most playing time for players relative to the amount of training sessions they do, and see competition or otherwise, and then we'll fit it around that.
Yeah, because
it's the other way around.
What are the problems that we're trying to fix? Right? The problems that we're trying to fix over the last number of years are not enough games between the best teams at the height of summer. Like, we don't see the best teams play each other, and no meaningful games for teams to develop over the course of the summer. So teams train all year, play 2 games and get knocked out, and they can never improve because they spend all year training and never playing games.
Well, it was Kieran Shannon who made the point yesterday about Fermanagh on the show. He was saying, like, Fermanagh were only bet by 5 points by Donegal, brought them right to the wire, 15-10, did really well. Then they played Monaghan, then they're gone. Yeah. They're gone since probably middle of June. Yeah. After having a decent enough league. You know, now people might say, oh, well, you know, then there's other teams who, but there's you're exactly right. The training to game ratio, all of that stuff, and it doesn't just only happen at senior inter-county level, you know. Yeah, but if Fermanagh were in Connacht, their first game could have been London, and their second game could have been Leitrim, and they could have been in the Connacht final, and then they'd be like 1 game to the Super 8s as opposed to being knocked out. So. Yeah. All right. Arse-boxing. Exactly. The Irish Sun on the back page is La Lynch, a hurl lot different. Limerick's Cian Lynch swapped ash for irons yesterday as he took part in the Irish Open Pro-Am. He was playing in a 3-ball with Shane O'Donnell and Joe Canning. It would be amazing. That's Graham McDowell looking to repeat his double from 19 years ago. Obviously, he won the Irish Close, I think, in the year 2000. No data robbed from the FAI. Good news story. Turns out when they were hacked, it was only malware that was left on their servers. Nothing was actually stolen, according to a statement issued by the FAI yesterday. And then Frank back at the bridge. Lampard is in control. Legend returns. Frank Lampard returned to Stamford Bridge last night to sign a 3-year deal as Chelsea manager. He's 41, up to 5.5 million a year, and he's very young to be getting the gig. Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, he's on the back of the Irish Daily Star. There he is coming in, saying hello to a couple of people. But what strikes me on that one is his 14th managerial appointment during 16 years, Roman Abramovich.
And unbelievably
14th.
successful when you think about it. Like, normally that's just crisis. But they've I think they're the most leagues since Abramovich arrived. Maybe City are getting there now, are they? Or are nearly level with them. But
it's you're going in there and you're kind of saying, okay, my tenure isn't that solid here.
No.
If I really look at the way things have happened, unless Abramovich all of a sudden chills out and takes his eye off the ball. But I believe he gets on well, supposedly, with Lampard. He was a big fan of Lampard, but listen, it won't make a difference. Then we have a little story here about Davy Fitz is talking about out of control, which is there's a headline talking about trolls, basically people bullying over online, etc., etc. Anonymous people. He's having a bit of a go at that. He supposedly has been on it for a while, and he's asking for the government to do more, whatever they can do. Maybe they should do some other stuff first, but let's not go there. Then the Racing Post, we have jumping for joy. England regain World Cup favouritism after landing semi-final spot. They came back to beat New Zealand by 119 runs yesterday in, looks like, where was it on?
it's in England somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere in England. Nice and sunny. And we've got tough tests for Nadal in the second round of Wimbledon.
Yeah, Nick Kyrgios.
Yeah.
I hope he killed Kyrgios. I'm not a Kyrgios fan. Not going to lie. A 2020 vision. So it's Harrington, maybe next star to host Irish Open. There he is playing with AP McCoy yesterday. Park Harrington hasn't discounted hosting the Dubai duty-free Irish Open next summer, despite the demands of the 2020 Ryder Cup captaincy at Whistling Straits. It's being talked about, and we're discussing it at the moment. I mean, Harrington will have plenty of backup staff. Like, if it's Adair Manor, I can imagine Adair are going to put their best foot forward.
Absolutely.
The county council are going to do whatever they're told.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
It's going to be absolutely fine. If someone raises their hand, at the local meeting, it'll be just like, you might want to put that down.
Yeah, it'll be totally fine.
Yeah.
O'Shea doubt his Mayo injury crisis deepens. This is further to the story we were talking about on yesterday's show about the boot. So it says here he's having it treated in a cast, but we think it's a boot, as which you see sports people in all the time. They have a boot early in the week. The boot comes off. Yeah. They train once. Or not.
I'd say he'd be okay. They'll give him a few painkillers and whatever else. They might get an injection into it.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably just a small crack or something in the ankle or in the foot somewhere. And they're just keeping the pressure off it. And by the way, you're fit. There's absolutely nothing he can do from now and week by week. All the body of work is done. It's just getting him ready. And I'd say it'd be. I can't see him not playing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I wonder if we were having this chat yesterday. Is there any prospect that they think, look, we can't win in All Ireland if we have an unfit O'Shea, and we might be able to get through Galway without him? Do you take the risk?
No.
I don't take the risk either, but
no.
You take the risk in the Donegal game afterwards and say, look, we can't win in All Ireland without him, but we can lose the first game and then try and win the last two.
Correct.
Well, a Kerry game, whatever.
Well, whichever, yeah. So
you've Kerry first.
You've Donegal, Kerry themselves, and then it'll be either Meath or Clare. So you're probably saying to yourself, well, listen, we'll have a good rattle at two of these. And I'd certainly be saying, if Donegal, who's first?
Kerry in Killarney.
Okay, you probably have to win that one.
Well, you have to win the other two then if you lose that one. So,
well, if you're ranking, you've Donegal at the top there.
You do, yeah.
Going on, and okay, you play Kerry and Killarney.
Donegal at home, it looks like, and then the Meath games, or the other game is in Croker.
Yeah. So I think you have to just continue to play him. I think it's tricky to leave him out, bring him back in. But this is an enormous game so they'll need all hands to the pump on this one because of the number of individuals they're missing. And he is a talisman for them, and he's a lightning rod for Galway. That Galway will want to chop him down as much as they can. So he brings a lot of attention to himself, which is a good thing because he's going to have to lead those boys this weekend. Yeah.
Right. On to the Times, the London Times, and it's England's touch of World Cup luck. Freak run out helps to seal semi-final place. So the English men are in a World Cup semi-final this week. And who knows, maybe they will also crash out in humiliating fashion like the women did. Lampard gets Chelsea job and women's game takeover talks. The Premier League may take over the running of the Women's Super League after talks to the Football Association. So the Premier League are looking at the success of the England Women's World Cup team and saying, ooh, I wonder, could we make a bit of money off the back of this? Which might not be the worst thing that ever happened.
No. The Guardian going again with England. So Barstow blasts England into first World Cup semi-final since 1992. Pretty amazing, actually, to be fair. I haven't been following it that much, but they did beat India and New Zealand to get to that semi-final. So
yeah, they needed to, and they were kind of heavily favoured heading in. So
yeah, decent result for them.
Okay, so that's the front page. Davy Fitz, cyber bullies can go to hurl. There you go, that's from the Mirror. And Paul, I'd like to tee up a job. It's Paul O'Connell playing golf yesterday. O'Connell admits he's ready to swing into action as coach. So I think that's the story that we'd carried on offtheball.com yesterday as well. And Shedmaster, Frank's back at the Blues and ready to start a new Chelsea adventure. So Frank Lampard pulling up in his car outside Stamford Bridge yesterday.
Yeah, and then we have the last one here. I have the Daily Telegraph, and again, it's Barstow flying high, but then there's a little story about Andy Murray saying partnering Serena is the chance of a lifetime. So, talking it up about Wimbledon. Interesting one, actually, in it, for tomorrow, actually, in the Telegraph, is about Eddie Jones and how he plans to take England to glory in Japan.
There you go, you might as well talk yourself up at the start, right?
Absolutely, put it all out there.
Wasn't that the main thesis of The Secret? I never read it, but you know, the book that changed various people's lives.
Oh, I didn't read it either.
No, me neither. There you go. No point
Still
in us
a
talking
secret.
about, yeah, exactly. No point in us talking about stuff we don't know about. I mean, that never happens in this show, right?